People are trickling in, so I guess we can begin. Just a reminder, guys, again that this spaces will be recorded, so you can listen to it later on if you need to as well. My name is Sam. I lead growth at Liquity. I'm joined, as always, by Token Breeze, who is our DeFi strategist at Liquity. And today we have the pleasure of having the first Optimism native money market with us on our spaces, which is Sonne Finance. And we have Atakan, who is representing Sonne Finance. He goes by the name Intro to DeFi on Twitter. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for inviting us, sir.
For sure.
It's very pleasure to be here talking here.
For sure. Just to give everyone an idea or agenda rundown of what you can expect today, we'll run through quickly what is Sonne Finance, how do liquidations work, what value does the Sonne token have, why implementing LUSD as collateral, and much more. So I guess without further ado, Atakan, what is Sonne Finance? I know you guys have only launched, I believe, what, 3 months, a little bit over 3 months now? So if you can give
it's our fifth month, sir.
Fifth month. Okay, cool. Yeah, if you could give a quick 101 intro into what Sonne Finance is, I think that'd be a great place to start.
So thanks for inviting us again, and thank you for listening, everyone. So firstly, I want to say that it's Sonne Finance is a German word for sun. So Sonne Finance is a non-custodial decentralized lending protocol with improved tokenomics. As in Compound, users can deposit their assets, use them as collateral, earn interest on the assets, and borrow against them. It's basically a Compound fork optimized for Optimism in backend for lending and borrowing activities. And our tokenomics and launch were unique. I don't know if we have time for what we have done differently than many others in liquid generation event, etc. But in very short terms, Sonne stakers get everything that our protocol earns, even the VLO we farm with our LP. So it's our uniqueness. But other than that, Sonne is a lending protocol, liquid market, and the first native lending liquid market on Optimism.
Perfect. Thank you very much. And it's very interesting that you mentioned about the Sonne token, and apologies for my mispronunciation.
No problem, sir.
So you mentioned how the value. Can you just elaborate a little bit more on the value that the Sonne token has?
So Sonne token is a revenue sharing and governance token of our protocol. Anything that Sonne earns goes to Sonne stakers. So we have two different kinds of revenue. As you might know, we launched with a liquidity generation event and put that liquidity on Velodrome from the start. We raised $100K at the time and put 2.5 million Sonne alongside with it and put that LP into the Velodrome to farm Velo. And one kind of revenue is coming from Velo that we are farming from this LP. So in the first times, it was like Velo APR was like over 150, 200 APR. But for now, we start to lock 100K Velo every week. So the APR of Velo goes down, but we are even sharing the OP coming from Velo with our stakers. The other kind of revenue is coming from the protocol earnings. Every token has reserve factors where some of borrowing interest is coming to the protocol as rewards. It differentiates between like 10 to 25% for different tokens. And we are distributing every bit of this revenue with stakers as well. Like there's no treasury for ours. Like everything goes to stakers. Like we simply give everything, sir. There's not even a team salary. Like we also staked everything as team and try to get along with this staking rewards. Also, like when we are doing votes, people can vote with staked Sonne. The more staked Sonne you have, the more votes you got, like in many other protocols. The protocol is not fully DAO right now, DAO right now, but in future we have plans to make it something like that. So yeah, Sonne token is, in our eyes, is a valuable token, sir.
Sorry for the so many times I mispronounced it. That keeps happening.
No problem, no
Um,
problem.
but yeah, the creative strategy you guys use for the LP and token launch is literally what puts Zoni on my radar initially. This is how I spotted the protocol, is essentially because I thought it was like a smart way to build initial liquidity and provide access to the token pretty fairly to your holders.
Yeah, it's nice to hear that, sir. We are proud of it.
It very much seems like it's a protocol that's like very community driven, and it gives everything back to the community, which is really great and kind of rare to see in DeFi as well these days.
Yeah,
um,
but we think that like this is what crypto and DeFi is built for, like
yes,
being a team with
absolutely,
community.
absolutely. So obviously, as I mentioned at the start, you guys are the first one to integrate and add LUSD as collateral on a layer two. Could you give us a little bit of an idea or indication as to why you guys decided to do that? I believe I guess there was a DAO vote around it, but what was the turning point on having LUSD as collateral on Sonne?
So, like we didn't have any voting for us. As I said before, like we are not fully DAO right now. We are like more like monarchy-driven community team, something like that. Uh, so Liquity protocol is one of the oldest CDP protocol of DeFi, and we think that it's one of the strongest stablecoin of this generation. And like when we look to other lending protocols that have LUSD, we saw that they are generally not accepting it as collateral. And like we thought that there might be people who wants to execute different strategies with LUSD but can't find anywhere to use it as collateral. So in our eyes, like LUSD is stronger than SUSD. So if we accepted SUSD as collateral, why won't we accept LUSD too? Like uh, it's simple as that, I think.
Very cool indeed. And as of right now, could you expand a little bit more as to the parameters for using LUSD as collateral in terms of loan to value rate and etc.?
So, like we use collateral factor, it's similar to loan to value rate. It's 60% for now, and the reserve factor is 20%. So, for example, if you have 100 LUSD, you can borrow up to $60 worth of tokens from the protocol. The values are the same with SUSD for now, but in the future, with more LUSD liquidity on Optimism, we can, of course, increase the C factors and decrease the reserve factor.
Well, the good news is with how good our friends at Velodrome are doing, it shouldn't be
Yeah,
too long before we have more liquidity coming up.
yeah, of course.
It's already happening, actually.
Yes, sir.
Go on. That's a nice segue, I believe. Brees, if you could, obviously now we have quite a bit of decent liquidity built up for LUSD on Optimism. Could you kind of expand a little bit more on the use cases that an LUSD holder has now on Optimism? I guess using a combination of Velodrome and now Sonne.
Yeah, I have even a strategy coming up harnessing both protocols, but essentially, so far, up until a couple of weeks ago, most of the use cases on Optimism were focused around liquidity. And that was because we didn't have back then the Chainlink price feed providing a USD price of LUSD on Optimism. And so back then it was mostly Velodrome and Stargate liquidity providing essentially. But since the liquidity has been built up and there is now a pretty decent volume on Optimism, if we're honest, it's even largely outsized if you compare, the percentage of LUSD that are on Optimism versus the percentage of LUSD trading volume that is happening on Optimism. You have a significant ratio. So it's LUSD holders on Optimism are quite active. And with the chaining price feed, we can go further in terms of integration. So the most obvious ones are essentially all cases where LUSD can be used as collateral, because obviously you need a reliable price feed for that. And so the first one is happening with Sun. But I'm also particularly excited for another one that is being worked on, which is depositing LUSD to Avi so they can be borrowed. But this one is interesting because of the synergies that would be with CE mode and the fact that on top of Avi, you have pulled together. And it's been essentially my, how do you say it in English? Pet peeve of mine, I think. So essentially, since I joined Liquity or a year ago, it was pretty much the vision that I had is, oh, I like put together. It's like, it's a lottery built to maximally protect your capital, and you essentially only gamble with the yield. I thought it was a very clever use of DeFi. And then I learned about Liquity and LUSD, and I really liked LUSD as a stable coin. And so the vision since then has been, I want to play pool together with my LUSD. But it took a long, long time to happen because it's a more advanced integration where you need an already existing yield source. So in that case, Avi. So yeah, that's the kind of use case we can finally consider and walk through.
That's very interesting, and it's good that you brought that up. I think Aave is in the future, but right now for LUSD holders and Optimism, actually on Sonne Finance, you can get paid to supply LUSD and also get paid to borrow. And I will actually drop in a link now just underneath this spaces as to the blog post that Brice here has written as to what this means for LUSD on Sonne. So I'll just post that now so you guys can have a quick look. Okay, it's posted. Cool. So one question I had, this is back to you, Atakan, is regarding liquidations on Sonne. I would assume that there is a little bit of a manual process here. Could you kind of elaborate on how liquidations work on Sonne?
So, yes, of course. I'm sure that many of you are familiar with liquidations on lending protocols, but I'll explain for those who are new as well. So, liquidation is determined by borrow collateral factors, or C factors in short, which is used to determine initial borrowing capacity. When an account's borrow balance exceeds the limits set by C factors, it's eligible for liquidation. After that, a liquidator is generally a bot, but anyone in the world can do it. A liquidator can call the absorb function, which relinquishes ownership of the account's collateral and returns the value of the collateral minus a penalty to the user in basis. Maybe let's give an example for ease of understanding. I think it will be better. Let's say that you have $100 worth of ETH, and ETH C factor is 75%, and you borrowed 75 USDC. So you have $100 of collateral and $75 borrowed. And let's say ETH price dropped, and now your collateral is worth $90. Your maximum borrowing limit is $67 right now, but your borrow balance is $75. So you exceed your borrowing limit, and your balance is eligible for liquidation now. And anyone in the world, again, which is generally a bot, can now pay your $75 debt to the protocol and gets the collateral. It's very similar to liquidation in the end, I guess. But yeah, it's with every token on the protocol. And the good thing is we have our liquidation bots, but it never works. There are people around the world who is doing a better job of liquidating than us, but it's very safe for us, so we encourage it. We encourage people to write liquidation bots. So yeah, that's how liquidation works.
Cool. Thank you very much. I guess this might be a little bit of an alpha leak, but or actually, it's a question more than that. But any plans for having a Sonne Go equivalent, the stablecoin that Aave is about to release? Is that something in the roadmap, or is that quite a bit further down the line for you guys to even consider?
I think the latter is true. Like, there are many good stablecoins around the ecosystem, and we don't think there's a need for stablecoins. So I think that's like we don't have plans for it right now, in short.
Cool. And another question I have is, I guess, you guys support most of both the decentralized and centralized stables now on the Zonde platform. You support Optimism as collateral, ETH as collateral. But are there plans? What are the next steps for regarding collateral? Is there any likelihood of having Velodrome LP tokens as collateral on Zonde eventually?
Well, well, sir, it's a very, very good question. I think to start answering it, I have to say that like we care deeply about our suppliers' safety, and in the past there are many occasions that ended with exploits when protocols wanted to add LPs as collateral to their protocol. For example, Cream had it and exploited. I think for now Terra Finance does it best, but like let's not forget that they have isolated pools which reduces the risk of exploit heavily. Like just brainstorming, having SUSD, LUSD, or USDC, USDT, or similar pools on Velodrome as collateral is not very risky considering financial terms, but uh, in smart contract terms, it will be something like opening hands to hackers to find critical bugs in contracts. Also, like I'm not the technical guy to answer like the smart contract part, but that's just like what I experienced in the past as an old farmer. Like when we are very sure about the development of it, of the contracts, of course we can expand to Velodrome LPs in like Sonne Finance as collateral because like it's very it's very logical to do in financial terms, but I'm not sure how will it go in like development terms because like we probably won't access to oracles, so we have to write I think swaps, but I don't trust swaps that much, I guess, if that makes sense.
We'll see how it goes with the Velodrome V2. I don't know if they have any enhancements or improvements planned on the TWAP side of the liquidity provider, but maybe. Yeah, but that would be really cool to essentially maximize even more the synergies between both protocol. And it's a bit of so I prepped a quick chart for today, which is essentially the strategy I have been harnessing personally um, as let's call it a long-term accumulator of essentially Sun, Vino, OP, all three. Um, and so, oh, okay, I'm just putting it now as a retweet to the space so you can find it easily. So the funny thing is, I was just mapping the token flows, and it ended up looking like an actual bike. But yeah, essentially the base of the strategy is assuming you have a veto stash. So if you want to build one, consider doing it progressively to make the most of the locking bonus weekly, and some veto LPs. And then the goal is more to build essentially a yield garden, you know. So every week you're compounding and locking some tokens, but you're also harvesting yields and essentially securing a growing source. But you're committing long term, especially on the velo position when you're locking 4 years. The sun part of the position, you guys are much more permissive with the staking. I really like it. So it's only when you stake sun to USUN, the one used in these strategies, so giving you a USDC uh, and Velo and OP tokens. It's only a week, I think, if I recall correctly,
Yes,
to
yes,
withdraw.
it's only a week, sir.
Amazing, yeah. And you're not locked or anything. It's just you have to like request a withdraw, and then a week later you can withdraw it. A bit like a
Yeah,
AVI
yeah,
safety module style. Yeah.
yeah, something like that. Like
So yeah.
we did it to like they're just-in-time stakers who like we are distributing VLO and OP tokens on Wednesday and USDC or Zone rewards on Thursday, so someone can like just get in on Wednesday and get out on Thursday and get the whole week's reward. So we want to prevent that. So that's why we have 1 week withdrawal time. But if that wasn't the case, we could have gone for like no delay, just stake on stake, something like that.
Yeah, when you roll with the strategy of the chart, you get a dual payday essentially. Because on the Thursdays, you get your bribes from your VLO voting. And then on the Friday, you'll get your OP bonus for the locking and the USON yield that you can either like compound or secure. So yeah, welcome to my world. It's been my reason for the last 8 months.
Cool. So like to take that, like we did it because like uh, on Thursday 00 GMT, Velo holders gets the bribes. So they like some of them don't sell, but some of them dumps the Zone tokens, Zone bribes instantly. So we thought that if they are dumping instantly, we can buy back on lower price. So we put the payday on Thursday after the below bribers, like the bribers or the voters dumps the token, so we can buy back lower and distribute it more to our stakers, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it's pretty smart.
Thank you, sir. So yeah.
Cool. I think we can open up the floor for questions now. Unless Brees, you had anything, but I think it'd be good to hear from our audience to see if they had any questions regarding both LUSD
Yeah,
and yeah.
let's take questions. If you have questions on the chart too, I can answer them, I guess.
Yeah, just request to speak, and then I can bring you up on the stage.
There was someone raising hands, but I think I missed it.
I don't see it on my end. I guess, I mean, if there are any questions, let's give it a few more seconds. But if not, then you can always go onto our Discord channel and post your questions there. We're always there answering community questions. But in any case, thank you so much for joining us. I mean, have a look at Sonne Finance and Optimism. As I mentioned earlier, you can currently get paid to both supply and borrow LUSD. And now that we have the Chainlink Oracle in there as well, we have released an article on our blog that includes a lot more information on Sonne, but also gives you an indication of what to expect now that the Oracle is in place for LUSD for some more integrations in the coming weeks and months as well. With that, I suppose we can wrap it up. Thank you so much, Atakan, for joining. Thank you all in the audience for joining as well. And yeah, we'll see you again probably next week.
Thanks for inviting me, sir. It was a pleasure, and thanks for listening, sirs. Oh, there's a raising hand, I guess. But yeah, I don't
Thanks,
know if
everyone.
it's too late or not.
Actually, you know what? No, let's take it. Let's take it. I'll invite him to speak. Why not? All right, I'm approving you to speak. There you go.
Please, no NFT questions, sir. Yeah, we don't have plans to integrate NFTs.
Sheikh, I think you can speak. I guess if you unmute yourself, you can ask a question.
Okay, my question is, I saw Zoni powered by Velodrome. Like, are they doing the same thing as Velodrome, or they're kind of different?
Could you repeat that? It was a bit unclear. Could you repeat that one more time?
I said I saw Zoni powered by Velodrome Finance. So are they going to, is it like the developer on Velodrome that develop zoning protocol, or they are both different?
Are you talking about the swap part on our website?
Yeah.
The smart contracts of Velodrome are like open source. We can reach it from Optimistic Ether Scan or wherever. So sometimes, Velodrome works slowly. So we put a front end in our website for ease of swaps on Sonne USDC LP. Like it's nothing more. It's the same Velodrome LP on Velodrome Finance, but it's in our front end, if that makes sense. So you can swap easily, like you can easily sell and buy Sonne from our website as well.
Cool. Thanks for answering that. I guess that's pretty much the only question. So I guess we can wrap it up here. Thanks again, Atakan, for joining. Check out Sonne Finance, check out our blog, and we'll see you again next week. Thanks, everyone.
Goodbye, sirs.
See ya.